Hey guys, so this is a part of Feather's Tail. This is the new part of Feather's Tail, and the rest is all over the place. So there's another in this direction here. There's another acre of land after that house to be around here. Our new children's home is looking very, very beautiful. And it's made me want to talk about the way this came about, because this began, God planted a desire in me first of all. This was not my desire. You have to remember that not so many years ago I was driving around in a V8 Audi thinking I was some sort of hotshot in England, and now realising that I'd indulged too heavily. Nothing wrong with materiality, you need it to be able to experience spirituality. And after all, both are simply concepts to try and define something that's undefinable. However, I was focused on it. I was focused on the material goods as if they would give me gratification and joy. And this is what we see in the New Age movement with law of attraction. I think famous movies like The Secret, which has a lot of decent information in for people, but unfortunately gets you a lot of the people in there, for all the information is good, they focus really on their mansion and making $1 million and all of this stuff. And this is just not, for me, a good use of your energy. Directing your energy into making $1 million might be a good use if you're going to provide employment. It might be a good use if you're going to provide technology that's going to help the world, help the planet. Might be good if you're going to protect the environment with it, or something like this with your business. Even if it's more simple things, if you're just going to feed people, then you can do that. But why do you need $1 million is always my question. And I can understand some people might need complete financial freedom to be able to do bigger things for God. So having $1 million as a backup plan, for example, might work. But focusing on the $1 million, focusing on the money, focusing on the cars, focusing on the nice houses, this was the sort of nonsense that I just couldn't get in for anymore. And I now understand the law of attraction. And this began with a dream, this house here. Now, the whole of this village began with a dream. I was living here, I was staying here, and I had this disabled child come to my gate, strapped to the back of her mother, who was homeless. And she said, "I beg you, please God help me." And I said, "Okay, then let me find a solution for you." And I looked around in Tanzania and all the homes were separating the mothers from their children. And I said, well, that's not right, because there's nothing better than a mother's love in this world. And every mother can be taught to remember to love their child. It's natural in all of us. So they should have that opportunity. So I had a dream that I was building small houses with a lady I know who cares for disabled children. And thus Feather's Tail was born. And then the need was born for a bigger house. But I've been focusing on getting this bigger house for some time. But what I haven't done is had any anticipation as to how that would come about. Simply what it was that we needed. And what we needed was this new beautiful house, which is not quite finished, but will be soon. And it's here now. It's ready. It's doing its thing. And I think the problem we have is people don't quite understand it. Now, let me first of all, for those of you who think I'm about to give a New Age speech on law of attraction, the Bible is very clear about law of attraction. It's just using a more romantic language. And you've got to grow up and be mature and understand that language has shifted. And language has shifted, for example, from angel being a messenger of light to photon being a particle that travels on angles of light, carrying information and messages. We've just become a little more logical and scientific in our language. Whereas in the past we were a lot more romantic and symbolic. And I kind of prefer the past language. It has more depth and meaning and stimulates something deep in your soul when you hear it. When you hear the speeches of those men of God in the Bible, there's something about the way they spoke which was a little bit more profound and meaningful. That might be my conditioning from being a youth, that I'm associating that language with God, I don't know. But that's the feeling I get from it anyway. So, the law of attraction is present in the Bible. Plenty of examples. I'll put some in the video so you can see what I mean. And the problem we have is people worry about the how. And I'm going to go right back to the beginning of Feather's Tale for this. People will come here saying they want to help, but they'll say, well, I can't start helping until I have a car. And I can't start helping until I have this property. And I can't start helping until I've got the income. And I can't start helping until I've got the registered platforms, until I've built the website. I can't. And this is the problem, because people think how is up to them. But what is up to them? And the what is, in that instance, saying, I can't. I can't do it, I can't do it, I can't do it. And that's what people do repetitively. Now, when I started out, I had no car, no money. No website, no bank account, nothing. When the first child was sponsored, the lady said, I'll sponsor her, what do I do now? And I said, I'm so sorry, I don't know. I don't have a PayPal, I don't have a charity account, I don't have anything set up for this. I'm just not ready for what I've done. But I knew what I wanted to do, and what I wanted to do was help. So I drove in and I helped. And then I was travelling to work, to town every day to use the internet. There was no internet connection in the village, or 3G back then. I had to use your local Dalla Dalla. You can get t-shirts in town for tourists that say, I survived the Dalla Dalla. Riding a little Hiace, Toyota Hiace minibus with like 30 people in it and goats and chickens is not fun every day, I'll be honest with you. Very frustrating, not safe either. So this was how it was in the beginning, because I didn't have any expectations of how. I wasn't so ignorant, you see, because I knew God had called me here for me to think I knew how this was going to unfold. So I came here to do something, and within 6 months God handed me an acre of land, an NGO and a house. The how was covered by God. I still at that point didn't know what I was going to be doing with that house, that land or that NGO. So I started helping the children in school. As I was helping the children in school, I didn't have a UK charity, didn't have a PayPal or anything. A lady appeared who used to be involved with the initial creation of this area and this NGO, and she said, I have a UK charity that I don't use, and I can see what you're trying to do. Let me make you the chairman of that charity, and you and I will work together to make this happen. So I did so. Now, this is the importance of understanding. If you can't see how, it doesn't matter. What is your business? What is all that you must focus on? And I'm going to walk to my... It's dark so you can't see me, but I'm going to walk to my office so I can show you an example of using the what's and not the how's. Because Fritzi, my wife, is very adept at this and understands it as well. That what is your business? And you've got to fearlessly cling to what it is that you want to see. You've got to hang on to it with all your strength. You've got to fight and fight to keep your focus on what. And the how will come to you. The how will be given and gifted to you. That is exactly how it will work for you and all of us in life. But the problem is many of us are often focusing on what we don't want. And this is true of so many of us, and I'm guilty of it too at times, without any shadow of a doubt. I'm guilty of it too. Now, Fritzi, some of you might have seen this. Fritzi had this painted for me. And it's me standing on top of Mount Kilimanjaro. The same guy painted this beautiful painting as well. It's just so stunning. And his work will be going on our website to help raise some funds. So that is me on top of Kili. Right now, if I try to climb Kili, I'd probably die within the first day or two, to be honest, the way my health is. But that is my what. And that reminds me when I wake up sick on my mattress, what I'm visualizing. And the how is already in motion. God's already working on the how. He's like, okay, that's what you want to achieve. Let me work out how that's going to happen. And that's how it works. And the problem is people focus on what they don't want. Or they stop and say, I can't see how that'll work, so I can't do it. I can't build the charity because I don't have a charity, a website, money. I don't have the ability to do this. I don't have a vehicle. And people come here to start NGOs all the time. I know many NGOs in town, and they are filled with manpower, Western manpower, which I wish I had. But they're not growing. They're not expanding. They're not employing any local people. And why is it? Because they're focusing on how and not on the what. You see, this is God's house. And that house that you just saw built is God's house as well. But what I mean by this village is God's house is this is God's show. And I am just a steward for that show. And I am acting by allowing myself not to have concern of the house, to be part of God's solution here, by allowing myself to be empty, to allow his guidance that allows me to thus be his hands and feet. I still sometimes make decisions off my own back. They might go wrong, they might go right. But most of the decisions I make, I lay down fleeces and I ask God for signs. And he gives me the signs every single time. Every single time without fail. Even down to my treatment, for example. I ask God, is that the right treatment for me? I wait for my sign. I often do say, have a donation of an obscure amount of money, which is how I know so many other people all over the world are also able to be governed by God. So, focusing on what is always your goal, and that's how Feather's Tale was built, with prayer, focusing on the what, and also not allowing myself to doubt when I can't see the hows. If you want to start something new, and you're truly having faith, which is why I always argue with people who contact me and say, predominantly I have trouble with literal Christians. Now, it's a small percentage, a minority of them, and I know the type of church and stuff they've attended, but they have trouble with the way I do things. And I always say to them, I'm sorry, you won't understand me because you don't walk in the same faith as me. I literally just trust that God will sort it out, and sometimes he does and sometimes he doesn't. But I just trust that he will. And I think until you surrender to that degree, you can get a little bit lost in it and caught up in the details, you know, for instance, in the theology and stuff, and it's not of any use to you. It's not of any use. When you're serving God, what you need to be able to do is have the faith to understand that he will provide and believe it. Know it. Know it. But if you don't know it, it won't happen. And that's what happens to so many people. Now, it's not that straightforward. It's not like everyone in the world, as I've said before, all these crazy people who make YouTube videos saying, attract money, easy as hell. It's like, yeah, come on. That's why you're piling out different videos every day to try and earn ad revenue. Because they're wrong. You can't say that a poor child in a quarry who's focusing on wanting a more abundant life is going to get it, because they're not. Because they need people to help them. You know, that they need people to pull them out of that situation. They need people to actually be empty, to allow God to work through them. But when you focus on the law of attraction, and when you focus on the what, he's the secret, the key to it all. That people don't do. First of all, you don't want to focus on the money. It's an empty thing to focus on. It doesn't nourish your soul. Focus on something bigger, something, an achievement. Don't focus on the money to achieve something. Focus on achieving it. Ignore the money. Focusing on money will corrode your innards, corrode your soul. Unbelievably so, I guarantee it. You focus on the bigger picture. Focus on what you want to do. And God will come to you. You focus on money, he knows you're immature. He doesn't want to give you that. No way will I provide you with that. Because you'll wreck yourself or wreck somebody else. Second of all, don't focus on the material rewards as if they're going to somehow nourish you. Desire in the Bible is referenced as the bottomless pit. And it's true. Even now I see people getting into the, I know elderly people who still desire the material because they haven't realize that they've gone into the bottomless pit. They haven't freed themselves from that confusion, as it were. Then the other thing is to always ensure that the focus of your energy is purely set on the what, to the degree that you never have a doubt. You never have a can't. As I said, I don't have this, so I can't do it. Don't ever do that. Because you're just telling God, I don't have faith in you. I don't have faith that you can achieve that. Now, there's boundaries to that, of course. There are boundaries. It's not like I can sit here and will to be the president of the United States. It's not going to happen. It's the same if you take, the Prime Minister of England. You could have 1 million people doing that and only one of them is going to get it. So we know that's not how it works, but that's because you're acting in the finite world of man with your desire. If there's only 2 limited edition cars in the world of some description and 5 people are focusing on them, it's impossible. We know because there's just physically not enough of the resource to go to the person, so the universe can't respond. But if you have a concept, and my concept was simply, and very simply this, let me be my highest good. That was my initial what with God. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with my life now, I said. I've been all things unholy. Let me be my highest good now. And God came through and started to build, okay, let me see what his highest good on this planet will be. And I hope and pray that I'm achieving it, or at least I'm on my way to achieving it. But imagine if I said, let me be my highest good, and then when God said go to Africa, I went, I'm not going there, I don't speak Swahili. I'm not going there, it's too hot. I'm not going there, I don't think I've got enough money to do anything. I'm not going there, I don't have a car. I'm not going there, I don't know anybody. All these little doubts just ruin what you're doing because you're not falling into the energetic flow of things. So focus on the bigger picture. Focus on materializing something important. Never lie to yourself and others and say you're focusing on being rich so as you can help the world. Focus on helping the world. I'm so much stronger. If someone had come to me and said, there's £1 million, go build Feather's Tail, I wouldn't have developed to be the man I am today. I would not have, and I'm grateful it didn't happen that way. Right now, I'd be happy if it happened, because I know I can make use of the resources and get everything done that we need to have done. But God will see fit to do what he needs to do when he needs to do it. And I believe that day will come. I really do believe that day will come where Feather's Tail will get millions of dollars of investment and will just expand and show the world how it can be done. But when you focus on how, you lose it. Because you can't see it. Someone told me I was going to build that house by having predominantly most of the funding came from having the world's highest DJ set. If you told me that 2 years ago, I just said, what? That's not going to happen. I didn't even know the people involved 2 years ago, but I had the house in my mind. Last year when I took in 22 children in December, I said to God, there's no space, what do I do? And then that day, we build an extension on your house. I went, okay, I need to build an extension. I need the money for it. Later that day again, a man from Los Angeles sent me the money for it. I didn't ask anybody. God orchestrated it. But you see, I paused with those children coming in at first, and I went, how am I going to do that? And as soon as I heard my brain say, how? I went, oh, stop. You're gonna ruin it. You're not going to get into the synchronistic flow. You're not going to get what you need to get this to happen. And thus I let go. And I let God. And when I did, I went out every day knowing I had no space for these children. But I went out without fail on outreach, day after day after day. The videos are on the YouTube. You remember, it was unbelievable. 1 month, 22 children. But then God orchestrated everything that was needed. An extension, the money for the extension, the money for the mattresses, the money for the extra staff. The how was up to God. The what was up to me. And also the action. The physical action. Because God hasn't won, guys. God has not won. My boys in town, and still some of the boys we are yet to reach here, you can't tell them God's always got victory when they've been raped by gangs of men using heroin. You can't tell them God's always got victory, and God doesn't have victory. The reason he doesn't have victory here is because he's got no hands and feet hardly to work through. So, among all of that, if you once understand that it's the what that you focus on, then the missing key ingredient for everybody, the key component, which is always missing from people with law of attraction, is the law of vibration. If I was a monstrous man and I couldn't be trusted and I might beat children or use all the single mums here and abuse them, stuff of this nature, then my vibration wouldn't match what I'm trying to attract with God's help. And God would see it and say, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it. It doesn't make sense for me to do that. Because my vibrational state of belief is not true. Because I'm saying, I want this house for the special needs children. I must have it. And I try to raise my vibration, but God looks and he says, but your vibrational nature is not a match to be someone who should be a steward of such a home. Because your vibrational nature is dangerous. It's undisciplined. It's enjoying things that could harm people here, could harm the children, could harm the women, whatever it might be. And the vibrational state is always lost on people. And that's why people say, I want to be able to, for example, have £1 million. But God looks at them and he says, but you don't have the vibrational state to be able to manage that. You'll go crazy, buy makeup, go on holiday, spoil yourself, and you won't learn anything. You'll forget about me as well, is another thing God watches out for when it comes to money. You'll forget about him. And thus he says, no, you're not vibrationally matched to what you're wanting here. But right now, I get a lot of sums of money coming through this place every month to help the children. All gets spent, of course. Nothing gets banked. We still struggle in that sense. But are we really struggling? Because it's as if God is our bank account and he keeps providing. And I just keep saying yes. And I don't worry about how. I've taken in a lady with cervical cancer this week and her son. She's came here to die. I didn't hesitate. I didn't have anywhere to put her, anywhere to care for her, any space for her to see out her final weeks on this planet. But I said yes, she should come. And then we waited, and the owner of the house we've been renting for the volunteers agreed that she could stay there and we could use it for palliative care. Great. That's what we'll do. So, God will open the door when your vibrational state matches the what that you're focusing on. But if your vibrational state doesn't match the what that you're focusing on, He's not going to give you it. It's a waste of time. And thus, the duty of every warrior of God, every servant of God, every person in pursuit of a better planet, a better home, a better humanity, a better spiritual path, is to relentlessly and fearlessly hang on to the what and let the how be. And if you can do that, really amazing things will happen. I don't know if you'll ever understand how it feels for my mind that 3 years ago I was here alone with my son Dominic. A week and a half ago he graduated. But I now have more than 100 children. There's more than 100 employees. I don't even know how many houses are in Feathersdale. I'd have to count them. More than 10 houses. More than 10 houses making up our village. So much has gone on. And I had no idea it would happen. But more importantly, once it started happening, I had no idea or expectation of how it would happen. I was in the present moment and taking no thought for my life as Jesus instructed. Because I was, the law of vibration, the law of attraction, and all the other natural laws that metaphysically govern the world around us that God set in place began to react. And thus the angels could get involved, God could get involved, and we see what we see now. And I praise God that He sees me as a vibrational match, as a suitable steward for these children and this money, because I do not see myself as that. I don't think I'm worthy of it, to be honest with you all. I really don't. But He thinks I am. That's a great honour in my life. Perhaps the greatest honour I've ever had in my life. But my true skill is that I'm good at focusing on what and hanging on to it and not letting go no matter how much I'm pulled on. No matter how much I'm whispered at to tell me I can't hang on. That's our job as a servant of God, a warrior of God, whatever you want to call yourself, whatever you want to be. There's no greater service you can do to our Mother, Father, Creator than you grabbing hold of that what and refusing to let go. And that's how you get it done. That's how you get it all done. And you'll just be flabbergasted by the doors He opens for you. But I see too often people say to me, when I get some money, it's like, no. Talk like that. Focus on what you want to do. God will make a way. God will make a way. Law of attraction. I don't speak about it very often. I don't like the term because it's always associated with people earning money and stuff of this nature, becoming pop stars, etc. It simply is that what you ask for, you get, as long as you believe. As long as you have faith and you know. But there are limits to it, which you'll see if you watch my Law of Attraction and Money video. There are limits to it. Okay, so I'll keep focusing on being at the top of Kilimanjaro. That is my what, and God will peel back every layer that must be peeled back from my sickness until I get there, because the how is His job, not mine. Love you all.